Imagine a world hanging by a thread, right? Teetering on the edge of nuclear war. You've got this rogue general, he seizes power, slams the country's doors shut, and suddenly the whole world is staring down this unthinkable choice. What if everything, the fate of nations, millions of lives, what if it didn't rest on armies or diplomacy, but on a lone wolf, a mercenary, dropped right into the hot zone, tasked with preventing total catastrophe, but also, driven by profit and maybe a little bit of an appetite for destruction? That's the kind of electrifying, high-stakes scenario we're diving into today.
And what's really interesting here, this isn't just some dry geopolitical analysis, though definitely pulls from some very real, very tense world events. This is actually a deep dive into a video game that explored these exact ideas in a really groundbreaking way in this huge sandbox environment. We're talking about Mercenaries. Playground of Destruction came out in 2005 for the PS2 and the original Xbox. Developed by Pandemic Studios, they did some amazing stuff, and published by LucasArts, believe it or not. It really set a new benchmark for player freedom and consequence, too.
That's it, exactly. So our mission today really is to unpack how this game made explosive mayhem, not just like a side feature, but the absolute core of the experience. It wasn't just about blowing stuff up for fun, although there was plenty of that. It was about the fallout from that destruction, Mercenaries just raised the stakes for players in a way that felt totally unprecedented back then. It pushed what an open world game could actually be. So we're going to dissect its gameplay, which was super innovative, explore the plot, which is surprisingly relevant, set against this really tense backdrop, and look at the audacious, sometimes really tough choices it threw at you. Get ready, because this one will definitely pique your curiosity. It was, in a lot of ways, way ahead of its time.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll be peeling back the layers on that open world design. It was truly something else. And the reputation system. Oh, man, that was dynamic and pretty unforgiving. Plus the narrative woven into this fictionalized North Korea. It created this incredible dramatic tension. We'll even touch on some of the unexpected real-world ripples it caused, which for a video game is pretty remarkable, right? It really speaks to how potent the themes were. So yeah, get ready to explore a game that put immense power and pretty dire consequences directly into your hands. It constantly made you think about the weight of your actions. It makes you wonder, doesn't it? If you had that kind of freedom in a war zone, how far would you go? And, what would be your price?
Okay, let's really dive into this world. The game just throws you right in, no messing around. You're in this volatile, fictionalized North Korea. And right away, the atmosphere crackles with this geopolitical tension. It all kicks off with a really violent coup. General Choi Song, this hardline military guy, launches a brutal uprising against his own father, President Choi Kim. And this isn't just some internal power squabble. It happens right after years, these slow, tentative steps towards peace between North and South Korea. So it's this shocking betrayal, basically patricide, and it completely destabilizes everything globally. It sets an incredibly high bar for the story right from the start. Really makes you wonder why.
Exactly. And it's not just a domestic thing, though that alone is dramatic enough. It has these immediate, huge global repercussions. Song doesn't just seize power. He supposedly kills his father, President Choi, and maybe even more critically, he orchestrates the assassination of delegates from both North and South Korea. And this happens during what was meant to be a peace ceremony. So it's not just violence, it's a calculated, profound act of aggression. It shatters any hope of peaceful reunification, just extinguishes that fragile possibility, and slams North Korea's doors shut to the world. That single act, right at the beginning, it just massively raises the global stakes for everyone. It pulls in all these other powers. Yeah. The tension is just immediate, palpable.
And here's where it gets really interesting, where the danger just skyrockets and basically lights the fuse for the whole world to get involved. Sometime after Song takes over, the Royal Australian Navy intercepts a North Korean freighter. And what's on board? Not textiles, not electronics, nuclear warheads.
Oh, yeah.
And they weren't just moving them around, they were headed for known terrorist groups.
Right. That's the absolute tipping point.
Exactly. That's the match that lights the fuse. It directly triggers an allied nations, the AN invasion. Their goal: topple Song's regime, secure those nukes, stop a global catastrophe. It instantly goes from a coup to this desperate race against time to stop nuclear war. The stakes jump from regional to, planetary survival. You can almost hear the clock ticking down.
And that discovery, it gives the green light for this massive military response. The Allied nations' forces, they push in, and they manage to secure Song's known missile silos, which, on paper, sounds like a huge win, a sigh of relief, maybe?
Right. Seems like progress.
But then comes the chilling part. They discover evidence of another launch site, and its location, completely unknown. Suddenly, there's this new immediate existential threat hanging over everyone. And meanwhile, the KPA Song's loyal army, they're battered, yeah, but they refuse to surrender. They're dug in, launching counterattacks. It's constant danger on the ground. So this hidden nuke capability means the race to prevent annihilation is well and truly on. And you, the player, you're just dropped right into the thick of it. The stakes, quite literally, could not be higher. For you, for the whole world, it's intense.
And it's not your typical, straightforward good guys versus bad guys story, which I think is what makes it so gripping. Even with the AN trying to stabilize things, trying to stop the nukes, the country just spirals into this chaotic playground for all these different global powers, often with completely conflicting goals.
Yeah, it's messy.
It's less like a clean war and more like this tangled web of competing interests, which means every single choice you make as a mercenary is super nuanced, loaded with potential consequences you didn't see coming. It really makes you curious, like, who should you even trust? Where do your loyalties lie when everyone has an angle?
Well, that's what's so cool about the setup. The game immediately throws these 5 distinct warring factions at you, and each one has its own clear, often totally self-serving agenda. It creates this palpable geopolitical tension, this moral ambiguity for you, the player. You're constantly weighing who to work for. So first you've got the allied nations, the AN. Their main goal seems pretty straightforward. Get Song out, secure the nukes, prevent global disaster. They're kind of your main quest givers, right? They offer those big ace contracts that push the main story. They represent the sort of official international effort.
Okay, makes sense. The good guys, sort of.
Sort of, yeah.
Yeah.
Then there's South Korea. They're often linked with the CIA in the game, and they're basically at their breaking point. After Song's coup destroyed any hope of peaceful reunification, they're all in on doing it by force now.
Ah, okay. So they have their own agenda, separate from just stopping Song.
Exactly. And that puts them on a direct collision course with other factions, especially China. It really ramps up the stakes on the ground, adding this whole other layer of regional conflict.
Right. And China, you mentioned China.
Yeah, China. Nominally, they're an ally of the AN, supposedly there to help. But in reality, their motives are much more opportunistic. They see the chaos as a golden opportunity to basically annex North Korea, expand their own influence, grab territory.
Whoa. Okay, so they're playing a double game.
Absolutely. It's subtle, but it's a huge raising of the stakes. It's not just about stopping Song anymore. It's about potentially reshaping the whole power balance in Asia. Their alliance is purely about what they can get out of it.
Man, that's complex. Who else is stirring the pot?
Well, then you have the Russian Mafia. The ultimate opportunists, the vultures, basically. They look at this war not as a crisis, but as, and I think the game calls it, an immense opportunity for profit.
Classic. Arms dealing.
Arms dealing, setting up black markets, illegal rackets, anything to make a buck off the chaos. They add this really gritty, morally gray layer to everything. Kind of cynical, but also offers you, the player, a chance to dip into that underworld.
Okay. AN, South Korea, China, Russian Mafia, and the main enemy.
And finally, yeah, Song's North Korean army, the KPA. Predictably, they're hostile to everyone, including you. Always. They refuse to give ground. They fight like fanatics for every inch. Constant counterattacks. They're the ever-present, dangerous threat you're constantly up against. The core of the regime you need to take down.
So with all these factions, all with their own goals, often hating each other, how do you even operate? As a merc, just trying to make money.
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
Yeah.
Your actions, who you take contracts from, who you attack, even who you accidentally run over, constantly shift how these factions feel about you. It creates this incredibly dynamic, unpredictable environment. Alliances are totally fluid, betrayals happen, helping one faction almost always ticks off another one.
Right, so every choice matters.
Every single choice. It has tangible weight. It affects who offers you work, how dangerous the world is for you, even how the bigger story unfolds. It keeps you perpetually on edge, trying to play the angles. The stakes are constantly shifting based on your reputation.
So, okay, you're dropped into this mess. What does it actually feel like to play? What can you do? You mentioned Sandbox, and it sounds like they really meant it.
Oh, they absolutely meant it. You are deposited into this truly vast, incredibly reactive sandbox environment, and the freedom is just staggering, especially for 2005. You can grab missions from any of these factions, sure, but you can also do side tasks, hunt for collectibles, intelligence items.
And the vehicles?
Any vehicle you see. Civilian cars, rusky pickups, KPA troop transports, heavily armored tanks, even helicopters. If you can see it, you can probably hijack it.
Nice.
Or, you can just decide to cause absolute spectacular destruction just for the hell of it. That level of player agency was genuinely revolutionary for its time on consoles. You see a building, you're curious if it'll collapse. Go ahead, plant some C4, call in an airstrike, see what happens. The game actively encourages that kind of destructive curiosity.
And you mentioned leveling building, like all of them, even HQs.
Pretty much. That's what really lived up to the Playground of Destruction subtitle. You could flatten almost every structure in the game, including faction headquarters, even the AN's base if you were feeling particularly reckless.
That's insane.
And it wasn't just for show. This was consequential destruction. Blowing up a bridge could actually block enemy reinforcements or maybe trap you. Leveling a building could clear a line of sight, or it could destroy valuable cover. The environment itself became this dynamic, interactive tool or obstacle that you could fundamentally reshape. That kind of emergent gameplay, where your destruction had real tactical implications, was a massive leap forward.
Wow. How did they even pull that off on PS2 and Xbox?
It was a huge technical achievement. Pandemic had this proprietary engine, the Saber engine, that was specifically designed to handle complex physics for collapsing structures and persistent debris, often without tanking the frame rate. It required some really clever rendering tricks and memory management. It made that playground feel genuinely reactive to every single blast. It constantly kept you wondering, okay, what can I break next?
Okay, but that sounds like pure chaos. Is there any downside? Any reason not to just blow everything to Kingdom Come? Because that freedom sounds almost too good to be true. There must be a catch, right? Gotta be some tension there.
Oh, there's definitely a price, and that's where the strategic tension really kicks in hard. Attacking the KPA, always fair game. In fact, the AN pays you bounties for destroying their stuff. Go nuts.
Okay.
But indiscriminate rampaging against the other factions, that will absolutely trash your reputation with them fast. You can't just go around bombing Chinese tanks or South Korean patrols without immediate, noticeable consequences. It forces you onto this constant strategic tightrope.
So it hits your reputation? Does it hit your wallet too?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
This is where the game cleverly layers in financial and relational stakes. If you kill civilians, or worse, AN personnel vice versa, the guys who are technically employing you for the big contracts, you get hit with immediate substantial cash fines. That directly impacts your bottom line. Less cash means fewer cool toys, fewer ammo restocks, fewer support options like airstrikes or vehicle drops from Fiona.
Ah, okay. So you have to be careful.
You have to consider your actions. It adds this crucial layer of tension and strategic thinking to every chaotic firefight. You can't just be a mindless wrecking ball without consequences. There's this delicate balance you have to maintain, especially when your rep, your cash, and your access to crucial missions are all interconnected. It constantly makes you weigh that immediate destructive urge against potential long-term problems. Are those few seconds of fun worth making the entire Chinese army hate you? Maybe not.
So let's say you did cross the line. Maybe an airstrike went wide, maybe you just got trigger happy, and now a faction you need hates your guts. They won't give you missions. Are you just stuck? How do you crawl back into their good graces when the stakes are so high? Sounds like a real puzzle.
Yeah, it can be tricky, but the game gives you options, which is great. It emphasizes player choice and your skills as a merc. The main way, the most direct way, is just completing contracts for the offended faction. You gotta prove you're still useful, rebuild that trust through action.
Okay, earn it back.
Right, but what if they're really mad? Like shoot-on-sight mad, they might not even offer you contracts.
Uh-oh.
In those dire situations, you might have to resort to less subtle methods, like bribing an HQ guard, just slipping them some cash to basically look the other way so you can get close enough to talk to the contract giver.
Huh. Okay, so you can buy your way back in?
Sort of. It adds this tangible cash cost to your earlier recklessness. Makes you maybe think twice next time, right? Was blowing up that convoy really worth this bribe? And beyond those direct approaches, there are other ways too. You can find specific collectibles, national treasures, blueprints that a particular faction is interested in. Turning those in can earn you some goodwill.
Like trading artifacts for favors.
Pretty much. Or you can go after targets that benefit everyone except Song, like destroying KPA propaganda monuments or hidden listening posts. Even if it doesn't directly help the faction you angered, it shows you're still committed to the main objective, which usually scores you some points indirectly.
Okay, interesting. Any other ways?
Yeah, there's one more, and it's high risk, high reward. Really ramps up the strategic tension. You can intervene in skirmishes.
Like faction-on-faction fights.
Exactly. You stumble upon, say, the Chinese fighting the South Koreans.
Oh.
If you jump in and help the Chinese drive off the South Koreans, the Chinese will like you more. But the South Koreans, now they really hate you. You gain favor with one, you lose it with the other. almost guaranteed.
Wow.
So it forces you to think several steps ahead. Okay, helping China now might get me this contract, but will I need South Korea later? What are the ripple effects? It perfectly captures that fickle nature of alliances in a chaotic war zone, constantly balancing risk and reward.
And what about stealth? Can you play it sneaky? The game even lets you play spy, right? That classic Merc tactic.
It does. You can disguise yourself by hijacking and driving an enemy faction's vehicle, a KPA truck, a Chinese Jeep, whatever.
Cool. So you can just drive right into their bases.
Well, it opens up possibilities for infiltration, yeah. Stealthy approaches, surprise attacks. It adds another tactical layer, creates some really great moments of suspense.
But how reliable is it? Is it like a magic invisible button? Because that sounds a bit too easy. Where's the tension?
See, that's the brilliant part. It builds tension because it's emphatically not foolproof. It's actually quite fragile, which keeps you on edge.
How so?
First off, you lose the disguise instantly if someone sees you getting into the vehicle. So you need good timing, find an isolated vehicle.
Okay, tricky.
You also lose it if you get out. Or if you start acting suspiciously, like, shooting their buddies from inside their own tank, or driving like a maniac through a checkpoint.
Right, gotta blend in.
But the biggest threat, enemy officers, they have sharper eyes. If an officer spots you, doesn't matter how well you're driving, they will always see through your disguise. Instantly.
Whoa. So instant firefight.
Instant, massive firefight, usually deep in enemy territory. What was supposed to be a quiet sneak mission suddenly turns into a desperate, explosive escape. It keeps you constantly vigilant, scanning for officers, driving carefully, hoping nobody gets suspicious. One wrong move, one moment of carelessness, and your cover is blown. It's a fantastic tension mechanic. Really makes you feel like a spy walking a tightrope.
Okay, so you've got this chaotic world, shifting alliances, incredible freedom. But beyond just surviving and making cash, what's the actual goal? Is there a main objective driving things forward?
Absolutely. Beneath all the sandbox mayhem, there's a very clear, very high-stakes mission structure that provides the game's backbone. Hunting down the deck of 52.
The deck of 52 sounds ominous.
It is. It's not just some random checklist. It's the core progression system, the ultimate bounty hunt that gives all your destruction and maneuvering this single overarching purpose. It's what really elevates the stakes from just individual contracts to this grand strategic campaign.
So who are these 52 people?
It's basically a most wanted list, structured like a deck of playing cards. It includes 52 key figures in Song's regime. You've got influential businessmen funding him, senior KPA military officers, crucial weapon scientists working on, those nukes.
Right, the important ones.
Song's elite personal bodyguards, and ultimately General Song himself. He's the ace of spades, the top target. The Allied nations have put massive escalating bounties on all of them. So there's a huge financial incentive for you, the Merc, to track them down and verify them. It's not just about the money, though. It's framed as being crucial for global security.
Okay, verify them. You mentioned that before. You said there are two ways. Kill them or capture them. How does that work, and why choose one over the other? What's the tension there?
This is a brilliant mechanic that layers moral, financial, and strategic choices onto almost every key target encounter. It constantly builds this sense of weight behind your actions. So, option one, kill the target. Then you snap a digital photo of the body as proof. Quick, direct, often easier in the middle of a massive firefight.
The lethal option.
Right. Option two, subdue them, knock them out, tie them up, then radio Fiona to send an AN helicopter to extract them as a prisoner. This is usually harder, riskier, takes longer.
So why bother capturing them if it's harder?
Because the rewards are significantly better. Capturing a target alive gets you double the cash bounty compared to just killing them.
Double. Okay, that's a big incentive.
Huge. But it's not just about the money. Capturing them also rewards you with valuable intelligence. And that intelligence is absolutely vital for unlocking the higher value targets later on.
Okay. So capturing accelerates your progress through the deck and pays more.
Exactly. It immediately raises the stakes beyond just get the job done. It becomes about optimization. Do you take the quick, easy kill for less cash and no intel? Or do you risk a longer, more dangerous fight to capture them alive for the big payday? And that crucial info needed to find the next big target. It forces this tactical choice constantly. And the bounties themselves get insane. Song, the ace of spades, he's worth a cool $100 million. That's a massive motivator. It makes you intensely curious about finding these people and figuring out how to bring them in alive.
Okay, so you need that intelligence to climb the ladder, basically, to get to the really high-value targets, the aces you mentioned. How does that work? How do you find these guys?
The whole intelligence system is really well structured. It ensures this continuous escalation, this steady drip feed of tension and discovery. The deck is broken into 4 suits, right? Like a real card deck. Each suit represents a part of Song's network. The number cards are the 2s through 10s in each suit. They're your more common bounties. You find them either just by exploring the open world, stumbling across them.
Like they're just hanging out.
Sometimes, yeah. Or, more often, you get tips from friendly factions after you complete missions for them. Hey, Merc, heard so-and-so is hiding out over here. They're your bread and butter.
Yeah.
They keep the cash flowing, build up that initial intelligence. Then you have the face cards. Jack, Queen, King. These are a definite step up. More important, usually harder to get to. And these targets are specifically tied to certain factions. The Chinese, the South Koreans, or the Russian Mafia. They hold the intel on these guys.
So you have to work with those factions to get to them.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
And pursuing a face card often involves unique, faction-specific side objectives before they'll even tell you where the target is. Or maybe you have to do something for them while you're hunting the target. Like maybe the South Koreans need you to take out KPA air defenses before they give up the location of their Jack. This directly links the bounty hunt to your faction reputation. If you've seriously ticked off the Chinese, guess what? You might be locked out of hunting their face card targets. Real consequences for your actions. It constantly reinforces how interconnected everything is.
Okay, so number cards, face cards, and then the ace, the big one for each suit.
Exactly. The ace contract. This is the culmination, the main event for each suit. The key to really hurting Song's operation and progressing the story. Once you've gathered enough intelligence by verifying the other targets in that suit, mostly by capturing them, remember the AN finally gives you the ace contract.
And these are tough.
Oh yeah, these are the highest stakes missions. The ace is always hidden away in some isolated, super heavily fortified location, deep behind enemy lines, often requiring you to be airdropped in, which immediately raises the tension.
Feels like a proper boss fight setup.
Totally. These ace contracts are complex, multi-stage missions. Multiple objectives, some required, some optional, different ways to approach them. You need all your skills, all your best gear, smart tactics, before you even get a shot at verifying the ace themselves. This is where the challenge and the tension really peak for each part of the deck.
So you take down an ace, then what? Does the game end?
No. This structure keeps the momentum going. After you verify an ace, you're usually extracted, maybe get a debrief, and then you're transported back to the main Sandbox region to start hunting down the next suit in the deck.
Ah, so it escalates.
Exactly. Each ace you take down signifies a major blow to Song's regime, bringing you closer to the ultimate goal, closer to securing those nukes. But it also pushes you deeper into the conflict, into more dangerous territory. It's a really smart way to build narrative momentum, keep you invested in this larger, ever-increasing threat, and make sure your curiosity about who the next ace is never fades.
Right at the start, before you even get dropped into this chaos, you have to choose who you're playing as, right? There are 3 different mercenaries.
That's right. And while they all follow the same main storyline, the same Deck of 52 hunt, the choice is more than just cosmetic. It subtly, but definitely significantly, influences how you play, how you approach situations, how you interact with the world. It's a meaningful choice right out of the gate, makes you curious about trying the others later.
So who are the options? Tell us about them.
Okay, so first up is Chris Jacobs. He's your American ex-Delta Force guy. Kind of the confident, reliable action hero type. Often cracks a dry joke even when things are exploding. His main gameplay advantage is endurance. He can just take more damage than the others. So if you like going in loud, taking hits, heavy weapons, he's a solid, more forgiving choice.
Makes sense. The tank.
Pretty much. And crucially, he knows Korean. So you get subtitles for KPA radio chatter and soldier dialogue. That can give you some really valuable intel, like enemy positions or hidden objectives, a nice little advantage against the main enemy.
Okay, Chris Jacobs. Who else?
Next is Jennifer Mouye. She's British, ex-SAGAS in MI6, with a Chinese-British background. She's all about efficiency and stealth. Her advantage is that she's quieter, alerts enemies less easily, so if you prefer sneaking, infiltration, precision takedowns, avoiding huge firefights, she's your go-to. She excels at getting in and out clean.
The stealth option? Does she have a language skill too?
She does. Being Chinese-British, she understands Chinese. So you get subtitles for the Chinese faction's communications. This can give you some unique insights into their plans, their hidden motives, the whole annexation agenda we talked about.
Yeah.
Lets you maybe play them a bit more effectively.
Interesting. Okay, one more.
The last one, and maybe the most colorful, is Matthias Nilsson. He's Swedish, a former Navy artillery officer turned completely reckless, explosion-obsessed mercenary. Seriously, this guy loves things that go boom. A perfect fit for the playground of destruction.
Yeah. Sounds fun. What's his edge?
Speed. He moves faster on foot than the others. This lets him flank enemies incredibly quickly, run rings around slower opponents, reposition rapidly, escape hairy situations. Great for hit-and-run tactics and just causing maximum mayhem.
Does he speak Russian, maybe?
Yeah.
For the Mafia?
You guessed it. He's fluent in Russian. So you can understand the Russian Mafia's private conversations, their backroom deals, maybe get tips on black market opportunities or hidden stashes. It really suits his chaotic, opportunistic style. For instance, his speed completely changes how you fight. You're not just running, you're darting between cover, outmaneuvering tanks, sometimes flanking dug-in enemies. Combine that with understanding the Mafia. He's uniquely suited for just pure, unadulterated mayhem.
So these differences, they actually matter in gameplay. It's not just a slight stat change.
Oh, they definitely matter. Your choice subtly shapes your whole strategy. Are you going head-on with Chris's toughness, sneaking around with Jennifer's stealth, or causing explosive chaos with Matisse's speed? Now, the language skills, they genuinely open up different tactical possibilities, different ways to gather intel and interact with the factions. It's not just flavor text, it affects how you play. It's a really meaningful choice that encourages replayability, makes you curious to see how the game feels with a different Merc, constantly raising the stakes on how you choose to approach the challenges.
And you're not totally alone out there, right? There's someone helping you, coordinating things.
That's right. You've got Fiona Taylor in your ear the whole time, voiced by Indy Dupree. She's your support operative, your handler, running the mercenary company's logistics back at base. She gives you mission briefings, intelligence updates, strategic advice, and crucially, she's the one you call to order airstrikes, vehicle drops, ammo supplies. Your lifeline, essentially. Keeps you grounded amidst the chaos.
Any other customization, like cool outfits or something?
Yeah, there are unlockable skins. You can earn them by completing specific challenges or finding hidden things. Like you can unlock an NK Elite Soldier skin, or, in a really fun nod to LucasArts, you could even unlock skins for Indiana Jones and Han Solo.
No way. Indian Han.
Yeah, it's purely cosmetic, mind you. Doesn't change gameplay stats or anything, but it's a cool bonus. Shows the game had a sense of humor amidst all the serious war stuff. A nice reward for digging deep.
Okay, so we've talked about the gameplay, the destruction, the choices, but what about the feel of the game? Beyond the mechanics, what made Mercenaries so immersive, so engaging? It wasn't just the explosions, right? There was something more that really pulled you into that high-tension world.
You're absolutely right. The craftsmanship behind the scenes, especially in sound and music, was phenomenal. It really elevated the whole experience, ratcheted up the stakes and immersion to almost cinematic levels. First off, the orchestral soundtrack. Composed by Michael Giacchino, who, went on to score Lost, The Incredibles, Pixar movies, Star Wars, Marvel. Huge stuff, along with Chris Tilton.
Wow, Giacchino did this early in his career.
Relatively early, yeah.
Yeah.
And it was performed by the Northwest Sinfonia. It's this sweeping, dramatic, Hollywood-quality score that just perfectly underscores the action. Every firefight, every tense sneak, every big explosion feels bigger, more important because of that music. It's not just background noise, it actively builds mood and tension.
That's impressive. What about the sound effects themselves? The guns, the explosions?
This is where they went absolutely above and beyond. The lead sound designer, Ellen Meisers, was incredibly dedicated to realism. Get this. She actually went to Travis Air Force Base to record the real sounds of C-5 Galaxy cargo planes. The hydraulics, the landing gear, the engines, all for the sounds of your supply drops and extractions in the game.
Seriously, they recorded actual military cargo planes.
Seriously. And for the weapons, no generic stock sounds. She went to a firing range, recorded real guns firing, and then recorded the impacts of those bullets hitting everything imaginable. Watermelons, street signs, car doors of different types. Just meticulous detail.
That's insane dedication.
It gets better. The Foley works, footsteps, cloth movement, all those little environmental sounds. Done at Skywalker Ranch.
Skywalker Ranch. Okay, now they're just showing off.
Right. This obsessive commitment to audio realism just dramatically heightened the sense of being in a live, dangerous war zone. Every gunshot cracked with authority, every explosion had weight, every vehicle sounded distinct and mechanical. It constantly kept you on edge, amplified the tension, made every action feel more impactful.
So, okay, this massive, detailed open world. What happens if you try to leave? If you just drive off the map? Do you hit an invisible wall like in most games back then? Or did they do something more creative to keep the tension high? I'm really curious how they handled the boundaries.
It's actually a really clever and wonderfully tense mechanic. It functions like a lethal invisible wall, but it does it in a way that fits the game's military theme perfectly. maintaining immersion instead of breaking it.
How does it work?
If you try to leave the designated game area, fly too high or boat too far out, you essentially enter a restricted air defense zone. These zones are controlled either by the AN or the KPA, depending on where you are. Instantly, you get this stark warning message over the radio from an operator. Something like, "Mercenary, you are entering a restricted area, turn back immediately." The tone is urgent, serious.
Okay, a warning. What if you ignore it? Keep going out of sheer curiosity.
Then the tension ramps up. You get another more chilling message. Hostile aircraft inbound on your position.
Uh-oh.
And seconds later, free fighter jets appear out of nowhere and just relentlessly unload on you. Missiles, cannons. The game describes the barrage as impossible to completely dodge and tough to survive.
Yep, they just shoot you down.
Pretty much. It serves as a lethal boundary, yeah, but it does it in-world, using the game's established threats. It reminds you that you're in a heavily militarized zone, that there are consequences for straying too far. It's much more immersive and tension-filled than just hitting a wall and stopping dead. Keeps the world feeling dangerous right to its very edges, constantly reinforcing the high stakes.
So Mercenaries comes out. It's got this amazing tech, incredible freedom, high stakes. How did it actually do? What did the critics think back in 2005? Must have generated some buzz, right?
Oh, absolutely. It was generally really well received. Critics lauded it, got generally positive reviews across the board. Metacritic scores were strong: 84 for PS2, 86 for the Xbox version, which was slightly more polished.
So what were the big things they praised? What made it stand out?
Critics consistently zeroed in on those core strengths we've been talking about, the things that really create that curiosity and sense of high stakes. Ryan Davis at GameSpot, who was a major voice back then, called the action fundamentally satisfying and incredibly varied, praised the immersive world, the gorgeous graphics. He basically said it was the best thing Pandemic had made up to that point.
High praise. Did they compare it to GTA? That was the big open world game back then.
They did, inevitably, because of the third-person view, the open world, the carjacking. But reviewers like Davis were quick to point out that Mercenaries actually pushed players to engage with its world more deeply, with the factions, the destruction. It wasn't just about cruising around. In fact, Xbox Nation magazine went even further, saying it perhaps even surpassed GTA's design paradigm, which, in 2005, that was almost heresy. Speaks volumes about the impact it had.
Wow, surpassing GTA. What else did they love?
GameSpy gave the Xbox version a perfect 5 stars. They raved about the world building, how reactive everything felt. They had this great quote, something like, "I can't remember the last time I played a game where I wondered if I could do something, and 9 times out of 10, I actually could."
That perfectly captures it, doesn't it? That sense of, can I? And the answer usually being yes, and it'll probably explode.
Exactly. It fulfilled that player curiosity constantly. GameSpy also highlighted the mission variety, that great balance between strategy and exploration, and the music they called Giacchino's score, possibly the best score of any Xbox game ever made.
Best ever. Bold claim.
Bold claim. But it shows how much the whole audiovisual package resonated. It wasn't just a technically impressive game, it was an experience that delivered on its destructive promise while still feeling strategic and engaging.
And what about the story, the setting? Did that land well, even with all the crazy action? It seems like it could have felt jarring.
That was another thing critics noted, how well it balanced the serious setting with the over-the-top gameplay. Ryan Davis mentioned how the game scrapes close to reality without actually breaking through. Using that slightly fictionalized North Korea felt very immersive, he said, even though the action was deliberately fast and loose.
So it felt grounded, even when you were calling in bunker busters on skyscrapers.
Somehow, yeah. The Times newspaper, which, isn't exactly a hardcore gaming outlet, even weighed in, praising the first-rate visuals and how the cutscenes blended seamlessly with the action. That ability to make this fictional, chaotic scenario feel tied to a recognizable, tense geopolitical reality was key to its success. Kept you invested, kept that curiosity piqued, constantly reminded you of the underlying stakes, even amidst the fun.
Now here's something really fascinating. A powerful example of how a game, even one about a fictional conflict, can generate real-world tension, raise actual stakes outside the screen. Mercenaries was actually banned in South Korea when it first came out, wasn't it?
It was, yeah. A pretty significant real-world consequence for a video game. And it definitely sparked a meaningful, if maybe uncomfortable, conversation.
Why exactly? What was the issue?
It boiled down to its depiction of war on the Korean Peninsula. Remember, the Korean War technically never ended with a peace treaty, just an armistice. The region was, and still is, incredibly sensitive politically. So a game depicting a fictionalized but still recognizable conflict in North Korea involving foreign powers, nuclear threats. It just hit too close to home for the South Korean government and public. It was deemed too sensitive, potentially inflammatory.
Was it the only game banned for that reason?
No, it actually shared that fate with Ghost Recon 2, another shooter set in the region around the same time. It really underscores how seriously those depictions were taken. The ban on Mercenaries wasn't lifted until almost 2 years later, in 2007.
Wow. That really highlights the game's impact, doesn't it? Even if unintended. It shows that even a playground of destruction can touch on raw nerves and have real-world resonance. So clearly, Mercenaries made a big splash. Critically acclaimed, commercially successful, even caused some controversy. What's its lasting legacy? Where does it sit in gaming history?
It definitely carved out a significant niche. It's often remembered as a pioneer of large-scale destructible environments in open-world games. IGN ranked it pretty high on their top 100 PS2 games list, 49th. Metacritic has it as the 84th best PS2 game. Digital Dream Door put it 23rd on their list of greatest original Xbox games. So it's consistently recognized as a standout title for that generation. Sales were strong too. I remember reading it shipped over 100,000 units just in France at launch, which suggests it had broad appeal.
Did it get sequels?
It did. There was Mercenaries too. World in Flames in 2008, which moved the action to a fictionalized Venezuela. It expanded on the destruction, but maybe lost some of the tight focus of the first game for some players. Sadly, after Electronic Arts acquired Pandemic Studios and then unfortunately closed them down in 2009, plans for further sequels were canceled. There were apparently 2 more in the works, Mercs Inc. and Mercenaries 3, No Limits.
Ah, shame. Leaves you curious about what might have been right, how they might have kept pushing that envelope.
Exactly. A series with a lot of potential, ultimately cut short.
Okay, so the game builds and builds. You're taking down aces, navigating faction politics. It all leads to the final showdown, right? The Ace of Spades contract, General Sung himself. This has got to be where the tension peaks.
Oh, absolutely. The climax is intense. You fight your way through his last, most loyal, most fanatical forces, pushing through his final stronghold. And then right before the final confrontation, you make this absolutely shocking discovery.
What is it?
You find out that President Choi Song's father, the one he supposedly killed to start this whole thing, is actually still alive.
No way, alive.
Alive. Held prisoner by his own son. It completely recontextualizes Song's motivations, adds this whole new layer of personal drama and betrayal right at the end. It significantly raises the personal stakes, makes you question everything.
Wow. Okay, so his father's alive, but Song is still the main threat.
He is. And just finding his father doesn't stop him. In fact, in a final desperate act of madness, before you can even properly engage him in battle, Song gets his hands on the launch codes for his country's remaining nuclear missiles and launches them.
He launches the nuke.
He launches them. Suddenly, the fight isn't just about taking down Song anymore. It's about stopping global nuclear annihilation. Literally in the final minutes, the tension just goes through the roof. The stakes are absolute. Everything rests on you.
And the ending. It's not just one fixed outcome, is it?
Yeah.
You mentioned player choice being key. Does that apply even here at the very end with nukes flying?
It absolutely does. This is where the game truly delivers on the promise of consequence. It features numerous endings, which is a testament to how much your choices mattered, right up to the final moments. If you fail, if you can't abort those missiles in time, and the countdown is brutally short, demanding speed and precision under immense pressure, the outcome is catastrophic.
How bad?
You get this chilling news report after the credits. It details how Seoul, the capital of South Korea, has been obliterated, along with several other major cities around the world. Nuclear fallout, millions dead. It's the ultimate consequence of failure. The highest possible stake realized. A devastating reminder of what you were fighting against.
Jesus, okay, so failure means global catastrophe. What about success if you do stop the nukes?
Even then, there's another layer of consequence tied directly to your actions throughout the entire game. Remember how you were working for different factions, building reputation? Depending on which faction you helped the most, who had the highest disposition towards you when the dust settled. Another news report indicates that that specific faction ends up taking control of North Korea.
So my actions determine who wins the peace.
Exactly. Did you favor the AN? Maybe they install a shaky provisional government. Did you work mostly for South Korea? Maybe reunification happens, but under their terms. Did you cozy up to China? Well, maybe their annexation plan succeeds. Did you somehow end up buddy-buddy with the Mafia the most? The ending implies even they could take over. turning the place into a gangster state.
Wow. So the ending reflects your entire playthrough.
Precisely. It brilliantly underscores those core themes. Your individual actions as a mercenary have massive global repercussions. Even in this playground, there's this powerful narrative about responsibility, unintended consequences, and how your choices fundamentally shape the geopolitical outcome. It makes you intensely curious about how differently things might have ended if you'd played differently, allied with someone else. It's a really meaningful conclusion. Hashtag outro. And
So after diving deep into Mercenaries, Playground of Destruction, what are we really left with? It's this game that just boldly asked, how much chaos can one person cause for cash? And what's the actual global cost of that kind of freedom? It threw us into this world where every single action, whether it was a tiny bribe or, stopping a nuclear launch, had real ripple effects, constantly raising the stakes. It's a powerful reminder, isn't it, that even in a fictional sandbox, a place designed for mayhem, the stakes can feel incredibly real. It definitely stoked my curiosity about just how far you could push its systems.
yeah.
And it makes you think, doesn't it? In a world with that much power, that much potential consequence, where the lines between good and bad are so blurred by profit and politics, who's really in control? And maybe, just maybe, what does that say about us, that we're so drawn to that kind of high-stakes freedom? What lines are we willing to cross, even in a game, to get the job done, especially when the job is framed as saving the world?
It's a great point. Think about the choices you make, even subconsciously, when a game gives you that much freedom and that much destructive power. How do those choices reflect your own priorities, your own approach to risk and reward in a high-stakes situation? And what does that enduring allure, that fascination we have with this kind of untamed freedom, even in a digital world, tell us about ourselves? Our relationship with power, with consequence, with that thrilling, maybe slightly terrifying ability to shape events on a grand scale. It's definitely something worth mulling over long after the virtual explosions fade away. Leaves you with some meaningful questions for sure.